Hello everyone. Hello, how are you? How's everybody? Let's have a lesson on PMI. I am oh ho, 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 ho. Hello everyone, this is Wan Ro. I'm just sharing the audio of PMI Code of Ethics. So let us go and check. So tackle the audio. Okay. So my intention for this video is for to share to those who are working right now and they don't have time to read the code of ethics. It's just a kind of learning on PMI code of ethics and professional. My source is in as a PMI member. Um, you can download this PMI Code of Ethics from the website itself. So PMI.org. You will see the Code of Ethics. So let's start with Chapter 1, the vision and applicability. Vision and purposes. As a practitioner of project management, we are committed to doing what is right and honorable. We set high standards for ourselves and we aspire to meet these standards in all aspects of our lives, at work, at home, and in service to our professional. These codes of ethics professional conducts describe the expectation that we have of ourselves and our fellow practitioners in the Go project management community. It articulates the ideals to which we aspire as as the behavior that are mandatory in our professional and volunteer rules. The purpose of this code is to instill confidence in the project management profession and to help an individual become a better practitioner. We do this by establishing a profession-wide understanding of appropriate behavior. We believe that the credibility and reputation of the project management professional is shaped by the collective conduct of individual practitioners. We believe that we advance our profession both individually and collectively by embracing this code of ethics and professional conduct. We also believe that this code will assist us in making wise decisions, particularly when faced with difficult situations where we may ask to compromise our integrity or our values. Our hope is that this code of ethics and professional conduct will serve as a catalyst for others to study, deliberate, and write about ethics and values. Further, we hope that this code will ultimately be used to build upon and evolve our profession. Chapter 1 1.2. For some whom the code applies. Sorry for the misread. The Code of Ethics and Professional Conduct applies to all PMI members. So if you are PMI member, you are entitled to practice the Code of Ethics. So to be a PMI member, just go to pmi.org and log in, and then um, pay the membership, and then you're now a PMI member. So 1.1, all individuals who are not members of PMI but meet one or more of the following criteria. Non-members who hold a PMI certification. You are not member but you have the PMI certification. So you are to follow the Code of Ethics of Professional Conduct applies. It applies to you. Non-member who apply to commence a PMI certification process. Non-member who serve PMI in volunteer capacity. So those who took the exam, those who passed the PMI certification, they have to comply to Code of Ethics. So there's a comment here. Those holding a project management institute credential, whether members or not, were previously held accountable to project management professional (PMP) or certified associate in project management (CAPM). Code of Professional Conduct and continue to be held accountable to the PMI Code of Ethics and Professional Conduct. In the past, PMI also had a separate ethics standards to members and for credentialed individuals. Stakeholders who contributed input to develop this code concluded that having multiple codes was undesirable and that everyone should be held to one high standard. Therefore, this code is applicable to both PMI members and individuals who have applied for us receive receive a credential from PMI regardless of PMI membership in PMI. So 1.3 Structure of the code. The Code of Ethics Professional Conduct is divided into sections that contain standards of conduct which are aligned with the four values that were identified as most important to the project management community. Some sections of this code includes include comments. Comments are not mandatory parts of the code, but provide example and other clarification. Finally, a glossary can be found at the end of the standard. The glossary defines words and phrases used in the code. For convenience, those terms defined in the glossary are underlined in the text of the code. 1.4 Values that support this code. Practitioners from the global project management community were asked to identify the values that form the basis of their decision making guided guided their actions. The values that the global project management community defined as most important were responsibility, respect, fairness, and honesty. This code affirms these four values as its foundation. So, RRFH: responsibility, respect, fairness, and honesty. 1.5 Aspirational and mandatory conduct. Each section of Code of Ethics and Professional Conduct includes both aspirational standard and mandatory standard. The aspirational standard describes the conduct that we strive to uphold as practitioners, although adherence to the aspirational standard is not easily measured. Conducting ourselves in accordance with this is an expectation that we have of ourselves as professionals. It is not optional. So the aspiration, mandatory, and mandatory conduct. A section of the Code of Ethics, Professional Conduct includes both aspirational standard and mandatory standard. So there are mandatory standard. The aspirational standard describes the conduct that we. So the aspirational here. So it says that the aspirational standard describes the conduct that we strive to uphold as practitioners. Although adherence to the aspirational standard is not easily measured, conducting ourselves in accordance with this is an expectation that we ourselves are professional. So it's not an optional, it's a mandatory. The mandatory established firm requirements and is some cases limit or prohibit practitioner behavior. Practitioners who do not conduct themselves in accordance with these standards will subject to disciplinary procedures before PMI Ethics Review Committee. So the mandatory standards establish firm requirements and some cases prohibit practitioner behavior. So practitioners who do not conduct themselves in accordance with these standards will be subject to disciplinary procedures before PMI. So there is a disciplinary procedure. So let's go to comment. So the comment here is the conduct covered under the aspirational standard and conduct covered under the mandatory standard are not mutually exclusive. That is, one specific act or omission could violate both aspirational and mandatory standards. Oh, that's it. That is, one specific act of omission or omission could violate both aspirational and mandatory standard. So let's go to chapter 2, description of responsibilities. So description of responsibilities. Responsibility is our duty to take ownership for the decision we make or fail to make, the action we take or fail to take, and the consequences that result. I read again. Responsibility is our duty to take ownership for the decision we make or fail to make, the action we take or fail to take, and the consequences that result. So it's like project manager. If you did if you didn't do the responsibility as project manager, you take the ownership if there is a fault in the project. So let's go to 2.2. Responsibility as personal standards. A practitioner in the global project management community. 2.2.1. We make decisions and take action based on the best interests of society, public safety, and the environment. Number 2, we accept only those assignments that are consistent with our background, experience, skills, and qualifications. So we have to accept only those assignments that are consistent with our background, experience, skills, and qualification. Comment. Where developmental or stretch assignments are being considered, we ensure that key stakeholders receive timely and complete information regarding the gaps in our qualifications so that they may make informed decisions regarding our suitability for a particular assignment. In the case of contracting arrangement, we only bid on work that our organization is qualified to perform, and we assign only qualified individuals to perform the work. I've learned this. So we only perform and we assign only qualified individuals to perform the work. Number 3. We fulfill the commitments that we undertake. We do what we say. We do what we say we will do. So it says, to fulfill the commitments that we undertake, we do what we say we will do. So what you say, what you will do. Number 4, when we make errors or omission, we take ownership and make correction promptly. When we discover errors or omission caused by others, We communicate them to the appropriate body as soon as they are discovered. We accept accountability for any issues resulting from our errors or omissions and any resulting consequences. So this is taking the ownership of the correction of the mistake you omitted. Then make corrections promptly. Then you communicate them to the appropriate body as soon as they are discovered. You should put them into memo. We protect. I'm sorry. We protect proprietary or confidential information that has been entrusted to us. We uphold this code and hold each other accountable to it. Responsibility and responsibility mandatory standard. So it is a mandatory standard. The responsibility is mandatory standard. As a practitioner in global project management community, we require the following of ourselves and our fellow practitioners. Regulations and legal requirements. Called. We inform ourselves and uphold the policies, rules, regulations, and laws that govern our work, professional and volunteer activities. We report, unethical, okay? We report unethical or illegal conduct to appropriate management and if necessary to those affected by the conduct. Sorry. We report unethical, so if it's dishonest or there's something brave, 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 maybe brave or illegal conduct to the appropriate management and it's necessary to those affected by the conduct. Comment. This provision has several implications, especially we do not engage in any illegal behavior, including but not limited to theft, fraud, corruption, embezzlement, or bribery. Further, we do not take or abuse the property of others, including intellectual property, nor do we engage in slander or libel. In focus groups conducted with practitioners around the globe, these types of illegal behaviors were mentioned as being problematic. So, as a practitioner and representative of our profession, we do not condone or assist others in engaging in illegal behavior. We report any illegal or unethical conduct. Reporting is not easy, and we recognize that if it may have negative consequences, since recent corporate scandals, many organizations have adopted policies to protect employees who reveal the truth about illegal or unethical activities. Some governments have also adopted legislation to protect employees who come forward with the truth. Okay. No to illegal. So, ethics complaints. Ethics complaints. We bring violation of this code to the attention of the appropriate body for resolution. We only file ethics complaints when they are substantiated by facts. So there you should have proof to file an ethics complaint. This provision has several implications. We cooperate with PMI concerning ethics violations and the collections of relative information whether we are complainant or a respondent. We also obtain from accusing others of ethical misconduct when we do not have all the facts. Further, we pursue disciplinary action against individuals who knowingly make false allegations against others. Oh, really? We pursue disciplinary action against an individual who retaliates against a person, raising ethics concerns. Really? So, chapter 3. So, that's very sad. You don't have to accuse this other if you don't have a proof. Chapter 3. Respect. So, show your respect. The respect you earn is the respect you given. The more you respect yourself, the more others respect you. Respect. Description of respect. Respect is our duty to show a high regard for ourselves. That's it. Others and the resources entrusted to us. Resources entrusted to us may include people, money, reputation, and safety of others and natural environmental resources. An environmental respect trust, engenders trust, confidence, and performance excellence by fostering mutual cooperation, an environment where diverse perspectives and views are encouraged and valued. Respect aspirational standard. As practitioners in global project management community, we inform ourselves about the norms and customs of others and avoid engaging in that behaviors they might consider disrespectful. We listen to others' points of view, seeking to standard them. We approach directly those persons with whom we have conflict or disagreement. We conduct ourselves in professional manner even when it is not reciprocated. So comment an implication of those provisions is that we avoid engaging in gossip, avoid making negative remarks to undermine another person's reputation. We also have a duty under this code to confront others who engage in these types of behavior. Respects mandatory standards. So there is aspirational and there is a mandatory standard. So this mandatory standard or ethics is as practitioner in global project management community, we require the following ourselves and our fellow practitioners. We negotiate in good faith. So we negotiate in good faith. We do not exercise the power of our expertise or position to influence the decision or action of others in order to benefit personally at their expense. We do not act in an abusive manner towards others. We respect the property rights of others. Chapter 4. The Fairness. 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 Description of fairness. Fairness is in our duty to make decisions and act impartially and objectively. Our conduct must be free from competing self-interest, prejudice, and favoritism. Fairness, aspirational standard are practiced in management and global project management community. A practice is in the global project management community. We demonstrate transparency in our decision-making process. We constantly re-examine our impartiality and objectivity, taking corrective actions as appropriate. Comments. Comment. Research with practitioners indicate that the subject of conflicts of interest is one of the most challenging faced by our profession. One of the biggest problem practitioners report is not recognizing when we have conflicted loyalties and recognizing when we are inadvertently placing ourselves or others in a conflict of interest situation. We as practitioners must proactively search for potential conflicts and help each other by highlighting each other's potential conflicts of interest and insisting that they be resolved. Sorry for my English and my pronunciation. English is not my first language. I guess it's my third language. Second language, I say. Third language. Because I can speak 5 dialects in our native dialects in our country, and I can speak a little bit Arabic, and because I work in the Middle East, and I'm not really fond of speaking in public like English speaking. So let's go. We provide equal access. So let's go to the comment. It says here in 4.2. So fairness aspirational standards as practitioner in global management community. That is chapter 4. It demonstrates research with practitioners indicate that subject of conflicts of interest is one of the most challenging faced by our profession. This problem practitioners reports is not recognizing when we have conflict loyalties and recognizing when we are inadvertently placing ourselves or others in a conflict of interest situation. We as practitioners must proactive search for potential conflicts and help each other by highlighting each other potential conflict of interest and insisting that they be resolved. We provide equal access to information to those who are authorized to have that information. Wait a moment. We make opportunities equally available to qualified candidates. We make opportunities equally available to qualified candidates. We my audio is not good. We make opportunities equally available to qualified candidates. An implication of this provision is in the case of contracting arrangement, we provide equal access to information during bidding process. Fairness mandatory standards. As a practitioner in the global project management community, we require the following of ourselves and our fellow practitioners. Conflict of interest situation. This is a good topic. We proactively fully disclose any real potential conflicts of interest to the appropriate stakeholder. When we realize that we have a real or potential conflict of interest, we refrain from engaging in the decision-making process or otherwise attempting to influence outcomes unless or until we have made full disclosure to the affected stakeholder. We have an approved mitigation plan and we have obtained the consent of the stakeholder to proceed. A conflict of interest occurs when we are in a position to influence decision of others' outcomes on behalf of our party, when where decision or outcomes could affect one or more other parties with which we have competing loyalties. For example, when we are acting as an employee, we have a duty of loyalty to our employer. When we are acting as a PMI volunteer, we have duty to loyalty to the Project Management Institute. We must recognize these divergent interests and refrain from the influencing decision when we have a conflict of interest. Further, even if we believe that we can set aside our divided loyalties and make decisions impartially, we treat the appearance of a conflict of interest as a conflict of interest and follow the provision described in the codes. Favoritism and discrimination. We do not hire or fire, reward or punish or award or deny constructs based on personal considerations, including but not limited to favoritism, nepotism, or bribery. We do not discriminate against others based on but not limited to gender, race, age, religion, disability, nationality, or sexual orientation. We apply the rules of organization, employer, project management institute is or other group without favoritism or prejudice. Can be prejudice. Chapter 5. Honesty. The description of honesty. Honesty is our duty to understand truth and act in a truthful manner, both in our communication and our conduct. Aspirational standards. As practitioners in the global project management community, we earnestly seek to understand the truths. Be truthful in our communication, in our conduct. We provide accurate information in timely manner. Comment: an implication of this provision is that we take appropriate steps to ensure that information we are basing our decision upon or providing to others is accurate, reliable, and timely. This includes having the courage to share bad news even when it may be poorly received. Also, when outcomes are negative, we avoid burying information or shifting blame to others. We outcomes are When our outcomes are positive, we avoid taking credit to the achievements of others. This provision reinforces our commitment to be both honesty and responsibility. We make commitments and promises implied or implicit in good faith, always in good faith. We strive to create an environment which others feel safe to tell the truth. Honesty mandatory standard. A practitioner in global project management community, we require the following of ourselves and our fellow practitioners. We do not engage in our condone behavior that is designed to deceive others, including but not limited to making misleading or false statements, stating half truths, providing information out of the context, or without withholding information that, if known, would render our statement as misleading or incomplete or incomplete. Sorry. We do not engage in dishonest behavior with intention of personal gain or at the expense of others. The personal standards exhort us to be truthful, half-truthful, or non-disclosure intended to mislead stakeholders are as unprofessional as affirmatively making misinterpretations. We develop credibility by providing complete and accurate information. That's all. That's all the Code of Ethics. History Standards, Appendix A. PMI history of this standard. PMI vision of project management as an independent professional drove our early work in ethics in 1981. The PMI Board of Directors formed an ethics standards and accreditation group. One task required the group to deliberate on the need for the code of ethics for the profession. The team report contained first documented PMI discussion of ethics for the project management profession. This report was submitted to the PMI Board of Directors 1982 and published as supplement to August 1983 Project Management Quarterly. In the late 1980s, this standard evolved to become the ethics standard of the project management professional PMP. In 1997, the PMI board determined the need a member code of ethics. The PMI board formed the ethics policy documentation committee to draft the publish of ethics standard for PMI membership. The board approved the new member code of ethics in 1998. This was followed by board of approval member case procedure in 1999, which decided provided to process for the submission of ethics and complaint and determined as a to whatever a violation had occurred. Ganon. Since 1998, code was adopted. Many dramatic changes have occurred within PMI and the business world PMI. Member has grown significantly. A great deal of growth has also occurred in regions outside North America. In the business world, ethics scandals have caused the downfall of global corporations and nonprofits, causing public outrage and sparking increased government regulation. Globalization has brought economies closer together but has caused a realization that our practice of ethics may differ from culture to culture. The rapid continuing pace of technological changes technological change has provided new opportunities but also introduced new challenges including new ethical dilemmas. For the reasons in 2003, the PMI Board of Directors called for a re-examination of the codes of ethics in 2004. The PMI Board commissioned the Ethics Standard Review Committee ESRE, Ethics Standard Review Committee, to review the codes of ethics and develop the process of revising the codes. ESRC developed the process. 2005, the PMI approved the process for revising the code, agreeing the global participation by the project management community was paramount in 2005, and board also commissioned the Ethics Standard Development Committee to carry out the board-approved process and deliver and the revised code of ends by the end of 2006, and the code of special conduct was approved by the PMI in 2006. Process used to create this standard. So there are process. The first step of Ethics Standards Development Committee and development of this code was to understand the ethical issues facing the project management community and to understand the values and viewpoints of practitioners from all regions of the globe. This was accomplished by variety of mechanisms including focus, group decisions, and two internet surveys involving practitioners, members, volunteers, and people holding the PMI certification. Additionally, the team analyzed the ethics codes of 24 non-profit associations from various regions of the world, researched best practices in the development of ethics standards, and explored ethics-related tenets of PMI certificate plan. This extensive research conducted by the ESDC Ethics Standards Development Committee provide the backdrop for developing the exposure draft of the PMI Code of Ethics and Professional Conduct. The exposure draft was circulated to the global project management community for comments. The rigorous standards development process established by the American National Standards Institute were followed during the development of the code because these processes were used for PMI technical standard development project and were deemed to represent the best practices for obtaining and adjudicating stakeholders' feedback to the exposure draft. The result of these efforts in code of ethics, professional conduct that not only describe the ethical values for which global project management community aspires, but also address the specific conduct that is mandatory for every individual bound by code. Violation of the PMI Code of Ethics Professional Conduct may result in sanctions by PM under the Ethics Code case procedures. The ethics standards ESDC learned that practitioner of project management our committee takes its committee to ethics very seriously, and we hold ourselves and our peers in the global project management community accountable to the conduct ourselves in accordance with the provision of these codes. Standard Ethics Standard Development Committee. Appendix B. Glossary. Abusive manner, the conduct that results in physical harm or creates intense feelings or fears, humiliation, manipulation, or exploitation in other person. Conflict of interest, a situation that arises with practices of project management in face with making a decision or doing some act that will benefit the practitioner or other person or organization to which the practitioner owes a duty of loyalty, and at the same time will harm another person or organization to which the practitioner owes a similar duty of loyalty. The only way practitioner can resolve conflicting duties is to disclose the conflict to those affected and allow them to make the decision about how the practitioner should proceed. Duty of loyalty, a person responsible, legal or moral, to promote the best interest in organization of other person with whom they are affiliated. Project Management Institute (PMI) totality. The Project Management Institute includes its committees, groups, and characters components such as chapters, colleagues, specific its interest groups. PMI member, a person who has joined the PMI Project Management Institute as a member. PMI sponsors activities that includes that but are not limited to participation of PMI member advisory team, group PMI standard development team, or another PMI working group committee. This also includes activity engaged in other auspices and chartered PMI component organization, whether it is a leadership role in a component and other type of component education activity or event. Practitioner, a person engaged in an activity that contributes to the management of a project portfolio or program that as a part of project management profession. PMI volunteer, a person who participates in PMI volunteer activities, whether a member or project management institute or not. So that's all the project management code of ethics. Yun. So the vision and the chapter 1 is vision and applicability. So chapter 2 the responsibility. Chapter 3 is respect. Chapter 4 is fairness. Chapter 5 is honesty. And then appendix. That's all, folks. Thank you for listening. Sorry for my English. And thank you for everything. Don't forget to follow me. I might I, I might can share I may share some good things and PMI if you are aspiring to